religion, and world peace. Indeed, I am happy that you all could spare time out of your busy schedules for this presentation. I therefore welcome and acknowledge your presence. Without much ado about nothing, I must proceed with the contribution. However, before I proceed, I would like to rephrase the topic of my contribution. What is my religion doing for the world peace? This is the caption I have to speak on. What is my religion? What my religion is doing for the world peace? This caption is wrong, and so is the approach. When you begin with a wrong conception, the result is bound to be disastrous. Let me analyze each word. First of all, word. Can anyone show me where the word is? There are certain words that are existential, lively, vibrant, and pulsating with life force. And anything that is pulsating with life force can be transformed. But we cannot transform anything that is lifeless. Can we? At least I cannot. But I do not know about you or your preceptors. There are certain words like world, family, society, nation, etc. that are all hypothetical. One can nowhere see or find any one of them except in dictionaries. These words are social and mental creation. Can you show me any family? No, you cannot. Sociologically, family refers to a group of people connected by a common bond, that is all. What is the unit of a family, society, nation, or the world? Indeed, the unit is the individual. The unit is the individual. The individual can be transformed. That is why masters emphasize on individuals, and ignorant ones emphasize and talk about world peace or national peace and so on. I can assure you, no Buddha, no Jesus, no prophet can ever talk about such hypothetical concepts of world peace or national peace, etc. Buddhas are only interested in you. In the preface to my book, Meditation, The Way to Self-Realization, I began the preface in an unusual manner. It began, before I begin to say anything, let me clarify certain things from the very beginning. I am not interested in any metaphysical questions. It does not matter who created this world or if God is or not. You are, this is most important to me, you can be transformed. This is meaningful. It neither matters what the relationship was between Jesus and Mary Magdalene, nor why did Ram put Sita to the fire test, or why did Ram abandon Sita. Answers to these questions cannot transform you or give you the taste of enlightenment. A Buddha is never concerned with such questions. He works with you and on you alone. Such has always been my approach to metaphysical questions. A master, a Buddha, a Christ is only concerned about you. Out of you one day, Someone can attain the status of a Mary Magdalene or an Anand or a Subhuti or a Sariputta. Yes, indeed, the micro unit is the individual, the you. All efforts has to begin at individual level. Have you ever asked or pondered if individual is at peace, if individual is harmonized, or if his body, mind, and intellect are in harmony with one another? Never, never, never. We do not have time for individual because our minds are preoccupied with bigger, faraway and hypothetical things. We go on praising our cultural heritages, but we have failed to recognize that in overlooking man, we have failed miserably. And in this process, man is left all alone. My friends, peace begins with an individual. Peace is the outcome of inner harmony. Once the inner equipment, both visible and non-visible, function in harmony with one another, without any conflict or duality, the individual experiences oneness. This is truth. Then life, actions and understanding are the expressions of such experience. Then what happens? Then what happens? Life becomes an embodiment of beauty. This is the ancient most contribution of Vedic sages and masters. Hindus have called it Satyam, Shivam, Sundar. Truth, action, beauty. These are three doors to the innerness of an individual. These are three doors to the innerness of a being. Hinduism is a word of much later connotation. The actual word or tradition is Vedic. The word Veda comes from the root that means to know. During the state of meditation, the individual process of harmony begins. And when he has annihilated all the discordance into oneness, his life becomes a benediction. He is embodiment of Sat Chit Anand, or truth, awareness, bliss. The religion as I have known is the process of transformation. The religion as I have known is the process of transformation. Its unit is an individual. First he has to attain harmony, oneness and bliss. And then he is the embodiment of Buddha's assertion, be a light unto yourself. Atma Deepo Bhava. When I was 10 years of age, I had asked my grandmother, a Naqshbandi Sufi master, Shakuntala Devi, what is my religion? Her response was the methodology of a master. She responded, your religion is the same as that of God. When I inquired what is my religion, the Sufi master responded, your religion is the same as that of God. Your religion is the same as that of God. Do you know what she told me this time? Your religion is the same as that of God. Still the question remained unanswered. But the master has answered. So I continued. Then tell me what the religion of God is. Do you know what she told me this time? She said, you ask too many questions. What is the religion of God? That you will have to discover yourself. What is the religion of God? That you have to discover yourself. This is the way Master instills the concept or sows the seed of awakening in you. And when the seed finds right environment and sprouts, transformation happens as the response. A man of light can only radiate light, not darkness. A man of understanding can only bring understanding, not misunderstanding. This is the essence of the religion that I know and have learned from our masters. This is the essence of the religion that I know and have learned from our masters. A man of peace, harmony, understanding, light and love will radiate only light or Nur-e-Ilahi. Unless this happens, all talks of world peace, family and society will remain a myth, a mirage that can never be achieved, that can never be found. Resolutions are made. What is the outcome of this all? Every day you hear of such things as peace yajna, a peace meditation, or something else taking place somewhere in the world, and yet still the world is in such chaos. We talk of religious tolerance and the outcome is religious intolerance and so on. Each religion claims superiority and engages in the act of conversion, but has failed to recognize that we are all conceived and born the same way. We are all born innocent and yet blissful. This innocence and bliss is our nature, and that which is our nature is our religion as well. Jesus said, religion is the saltishness of the soul. At another occasion, when someone asked, Master, who can enter the kingdom of your Father? Jesus did not philosophize like a Christian will do. He simply said, one who is childlike. Jesus did not use the word childish. The innocence of a child is of the nature of unconscious, and innocence of an enlightened one is awakened innocence. My grandmother could condition me by saying, you are born in a Hindu family, definitely you are Hindu. Or she could say, you are Sufi, so Sufism is your religion. She did not say anything like this. She showed the way. She sowed the seed of awakening and inquisitiveness in me at the age of 10. Now the seed has blossomed and the outcome is the presence that is intoxicating us and has capabilities to transform anyone from the throes of misery and misunderstanding. Now the seed has blossomed and the outcome is the presence that is intoxicating and has the capabilities to transform anyone from the throes of misery and misunderstanding. Each child is born innocent and blissful, not a Hindu, Muslim or Christian. Instead of pure ishness he comes into the world, overflowing godliness. But then the process of conditioning the child into a Hindu, Christian, Jew or Muslim faith begins. In the process, innocence is replaced with cunningness. Sometimes I wish we could have a religionless religion. We see plethora of religions, but nowhere religiousness is seen. Indeed, nowhere religiousness is seen. Let me tell you what is the contribution of my religion. Let me tell you what is the contribution of my religion. Because I have been asked to represent Hinduism, not my choice. This I have clarified from the very beginning by rephrasing the question, rephrasing the topic. When you begin with a wrong question or wrong conception, you are going to get disastrous results. This has been enunciated in a 5,000-year-old scripture, the Sermon of the Lord, the Bhagavad Gita. First of all, the message has not been conveyed to a large congregation or through a forum like this. It is a person-to-person sermon of the Lord. The word that this sermon begins, or the first word that has been spoken in the scripture by the sage poet Ved Vyas, is dharma. Loosely it is translated as religion, and the last word of the sermon is mam, meaning mine. Through 703 sutras, the Lord of Compassion takes the despondent Arjuna through various stages of transformation. And through these 703 sutras, Lord explains to the despondent one the eternal message, Mama Dharma, my nature, my religion. The Lord is referring to the eternal religion and not the outer religion that you know, practice and propagate. Remember, religion is eternal. This message was narrated to Arjuna. No other person could hear. One person, the grandsire, got the inkling that something is certainly happening between the Lord and Arjuna. That is all. Another person has received the entire message without being physically present at the scene. The third person was delivered this message as a broadcast from someone who was given the inner vision. And the last or the fifth one was the sage composer. Was Lord unwise to give message only to one person? Was Buddha unwise when he gave the last message, be a light unto yourself, addressing to an individual? Or when Buddha gave the message, gave the sermon of Vajra Chedika Prajnaparamita Hridayam Sutra to Sariputta, or Vajra Chedika Prajnaparamita Diamond Sutra to Subhuti? Was he unwise? Neither the Lord of Compassion, the Yogeshwar, nor Buddha was unwise. They knew to the very core the individual as the basis or as the basic unit of transformation. It is the individual that can be transformed. Yes, indeed, it is the individual who can be transformed. This understanding was to bring transformation in an individual, create a breed of Buddhas, men of understanding, love and awareness. Then the totality of their radiance will, like myriad suns, tear away the girdle of darkness, vanity and ignorance. The understanding was to bring transformation to an individual, create a breed of Buddhas, men of understanding, love and awareness. Then the totality of their radiance will, like myriad suns, tear away the girdle of darkness, vanity and ignorance. When the despondent Arjun was inadvertently arguing and failing to recognize the crux of the message of the Lord of Compassion, he advises him through the Sutra 66 of the last message of self-study or chapter 18. Sarvadharmān paritijya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tum sarvapāpebhyo mokshayashyami ma shucha. Sarvadharmān paritijya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tum sarvapāpebhyo mokshayashyami ma shucha. If you cannot do all this, O friend, then abandoning all religions of body, mind and intellect, come to me and me alone. I shall liberate thee from the sins of thy mortal existence. Body has organs of perception and action. Body operates through these organs conditioned by the mind, intellect, memory and ego sense. All these alienations have to be abandoned through awareness. Such is the deep understanding of the word religion. How this can be achieved? By bringing total transformation. And in the last sutra 78 of the same chapter 18, the sage poet confirms what happens to and through such a man of understanding, overflowing love or radiating light or Nur-e Ilahi. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara, Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhutir Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara, Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhutir Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. Where there is the Lord of Compassion Krishna, the absolute undivided or unconditioned awareness, and the mighty archer who is ready to ward off darkness at each level with his arrows of radiance, compassion, sincerity, aspiration and understanding. Certainly, this will lead to victory of light over darkness, truth over untruth, and this is my message. And this is my message or niti, understanding or mati, and your religion. I can go on and on like this, bringing the ancient message from the eternal scriptures. But this is all for now. Thank you for being such a wonderful audience. I must end with a prayer from the ancient scriptures. I must end with a prayer from the ancient scriptures. Let us fold our hands in supplication as I utter the solemn words. Asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityur ma amritam gamaya, mrityur ma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.